Welcome to Straight to the Point. I'm your host, Representative Joe D'Orsi. In a world of long-windedness, I'm here to deliver you the capital news in 10 minutes or less. So, let's get straight to the point. This is the Straight to the Point podcast. I'm Representative Joe D'Orsi, and I am here with House District 199's own Barb Gleim. She represents Cumberland County. Barb, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So, Barb, you are, is it your third term, fourth term?
I'm in my third term. I'm running for my fourth.
Okay. And you are, as I like to say, I think I've coined the phrase, the hardest worker in the State House.
I don't know about that.
So we have the hardest worker here in the studio today. Barb, I want to talk about Title IX. It's kind of fresh on people's minds, particularly with, the lawsuits that have come in the wake of Joe Biden's executive order. So what is Title IX in short, the history behind it, and how that affects women in sports?
So in essence, Title IX was enacted in 1972. It was passed to ensure that males and females receive equal educational opportunities. And it also was based off of federal funding as well, that a school or an entity would not receive federal funding if there was any type of discrimination based on this act. The act was also based on a person's sex, which now we know under Biden's new executive order, which goes into effect on August 1st, will expand Title IX to include gender identity and sexual orientation.
Yeah. So there's been some trailblazers. Certainly pre-1972, the name that comes to my mind, who really fought for equality in this area was Martina Navratilova. Mm-hmm. Who are some others, and just kind of add some context, if you can, to the fight. It just didn't happen overnight. This was a long battle.
Sure, and even after 1972, and the women, especially in sports, who were battling for their rights here, it took quite a long time before the NCAA and a lot of the state sports actually came up to speed with what Title IX was requiring. Mm-hmm. But mostly in the tennis field, the track and field, mostly sports, mm-hmm. And also higher ed. We started seeing more women become involved in going to college, mm-hmm. and getting scholarships through this Title IX.
So that's an access point. The full or partial or athletic scholarships that men long enjoyed, which provided free education, that was then available to women. So there's that access point too.
Correct.
So the executive order, you touched on it briefly. What exactly would it accomplish should this actually go into play on August 1st?
So I'll just give everybody, if they want to look it up, it's Executive Order 14021. It goes into effect on August 1st. Like I said, it expands Title IX, but the significant implications of this, Joe, are for women-only spaces will be impacted. Free speech will be impacted. Sports will be impacted. Personally, I think it does a disservice to the gains of the women's movement, and it's unsafe. Mm-hmm. It's unsafe for women who need privacy. Yeah. It's unsafe for separate spaces that are needed, like in prisons and in domestic violence shelters.
So this transcends sports.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
He is this president and this executive order will definitely transcend not just sports and higher ed, but all women's spaces. Mm-hmm.
So. A fact about you and I, we were both college athletes. I played wrestling and football at Duquesne University, and you were at Maryland, mm-hmm. the sport of field hockey.
No, actually I played soccer at Maryland.
But
yeah.
you were a field hockey player back in the day.
Yeah. So we could play both. But at Maryland, I played soccer. Yeah. And, as I said in one of my press conferences, I walked on, it was club, and we had to fight for, field space. We bought our own uniforms. We provided our own transportation, and we won.
Yeah.
So by the time we were done, I was done at Maryland, the NCAA had recognized us as a tried and true sport for women's soccer.
Yeah. So we have a unique, I say that to say we have a unique perspective. I had wrestled, played football, baseball, all through. In fact, I played baseball even after college in the Susquehanna League in York. So it is awkward for me as a man to think about this, to think about where this could go. And we'll talk about potentially or probably where this will go, but I want to get your take on your House bill, because you had a House bill from last session, I believe, that was pretty popular. Can you kind of talk about what that would accomplish here in the Commonwealth?
Sure. So last session, it was House Bill 1972. It passed the House in a bipartisan manner and passed the Senate in a bipartisan manner and was vetoed by the governor. So the governor, I guess, thought he knew better than the people of the Commonwealth. This session, it's House Bill 216. And we have not been able to lift it out of the Education Committee because in the House we're in the minority. Mm-hmm. So, but it still has the same impact. It is, polled very well throughout the Commonwealth. I think 70% of our constituents believe that there should not be males in female sports. Mm-hmm. And where is this going? Well, there are several lawsuits in several states. I'll mention some of them. The one lawsuit is in the Northern District of Alabama right now. So it's Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, the Independent Women's Law Center, the Independent Women's Network, Parents Defending Freedom versus Miguel Cardona, who's the U.S. Department of Education. Now, there are other lawsuits that are being filed as well. But these are states that have already passed the Women in Sports bill. Yep. And they are basically saying that the people in their states have spoken and that they will not be adhering to the executive order when it passes on August 1st. So.
And I just want to note that list of states, those are strong red states who apparently care more about women than blue or purple states. I just wanted to point that out. So let's talk, Barb, about, you had mentioned the pending lawsuits. Hopefully one or more of those are successful, because I personally, as a former male sport, think that this is tragic on a couple of levels. Number one, you had mentioned safety. I have to say injury. We've seen the Twitter videos of biological males that, for whatever reason, step onto a woman's field. I remember seeing a field hockey clip where I hope that girl that suffered a collision from this man that was much larger than her is even alive. It was a tragic thing to watch. You'll have injuries. You'll have, this isn't speculation, these things have happened and they will happen. Sexual abuse in locker rooms. We've heard the story from Paula Scanlon and Riley Gaines about the biological male swimmer that was changing in the same area as them. You will have biological men who take advantage of this order just to prey on women. Mm-hmm. That will happen. And what it'll do is it'll downgrade and deteriorate women's sports. Your thoughts on those points?
Oh, absolutely. That's what's already happened. And I always say if it happens to just one woman, it's too many times. And you see time and time again in track and field, we just had, an NCAA tournament where there was a male competing in that women's NCAA tournament who beat everybody by, quite a margin, to the point where everybody was saying that the second place winner, who was a woman, should actually get the first place prize. And I've made appeals to the Olympics. The Olympic Committee, in my opinion, has a duty to set the sports realm right by saying this is not going to be the way it's going to be in the Olympics, that women are going to have their own category. If there is a transgender field that they want to produce here for these individuals, that's fine with me. But women need to have their own sport. And then if the Olympics would do that, then it would trickle down to the NCAA, which would then come down into the PIAA and then into high school athletics, rather than making these women and girls protect themselves and vouch for themselves and fight for themselves. This should really be an adult thing that we do from the Olympics on down.
Yeah. Final question here, Barb, because I really want people to grasp this. There is opposition to what you're doing, believe it or not. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to believe. And it's vicious. Can you just share a tale or two, without mentioning any names, of some of the hate mail you've gotten for introducing a bill that protects women?
Sure. So it's mostly from the LGBTQ community. I've received hate mail, I'm sure, just like other states who are fighting for these rights for women have received. Postcards, flooding in, people walking into my district office, not having a normal conversation about, can we agree to disagree on this issue and this policy, but just downright, mean and cursing and nasty. So I'm more than happy to have that conversation about, how we can agree to disagree. I can, talk about some of the effects this has had from a safety perspective, just like we did, mental perspective as well, Joe. They're totally dismissing the mental perspective of years and years of being in a sport and practicing and doing your best just to be kicked off of a podium.
Yep. Yeah, that is tragic. So she's Barb Gleim of the 199th House District in Cumberland County. Barb, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
This has been Straight to the Point. Visit repjod.com/mypodcasts.